if you try hard and it doesn't work out, that's okay.
Be optimistic about the future. There's no point in being pessimistic. It's just too negative.
Great Elon Musk with you, my friend. Let's hear beautiful advices from him. And watch till the end, and you will find out what is the best subject of education for success.
And listen more to critical feedback. I mean, like a lot of things I learned in college actually were pretty helpful. I mean, the physics approach to thinking is very good, like the first principles approach.
And you applied that broadly?
Yeah, applying the first principles approach to thinking is, I think, a good way to figure out counterintuitive situations. So that was really a helpful thing to learn. Trying to convince the public to do something, you have to say, okay, how's this going to read? And what message are we going to try to convey? What will people respond to? What would I respond to if I was, sort of an objective member of the public? And so that's really, if you're trying to change people's minds or get people fired up about something, then you got to think, okay, what's that message? What's going to get them really excited? And it's very important that we have things that are exciting and inspiring in the future, because otherwise, why get up in the morning? It's just about one sort of sad problem after another. it's like life's not worth living. There's like some entropic basis for this. Like there are many more ways to fail than to succeed. So you have to explore. Particularly like for a rocket, there's like 1,000 ways a thing can fail and like one way it can work. So you could have a lot of rocket failures to explore all the ways in which it could fail. But I do think that one great thing about Silicon Valley is that failure is not a big stigma. So it's like if you try hard and it doesn't work out, that's okay. Like you can learn from that and do another company, and it's not a big deal. And I think that's really one of the great things about Silicon Valley.
Musk's suggestion: accept the fact that you are wrong. It is just that your goal is to make less mistakes.
I think people should be nicer to each other and give more credit to others, and don't assume that they're mean until they're actually mean. It's easy to demonize people. You're usually wrong about it. People are nicer than you think. Give people more credit.
That a lot of times the question is harder than the answer. And if you can properly phrase the question, then the answer is the easy part. If to the degree that we can better understand the universe, then we better know what questions to ask. And then whatever the question is that most approximates what's the meaning of life, that's the question we could ultimately get closer to understanding. And so I thought, well, to the degree that we can expand the scope and scale of consciousness and knowledge, human knowledge, then that would be a good thing. Well, if you think about a company is a group of people that are organized to create a product or service. That's what a company is. So in order to create such a thing, you have to convince others to join you in your effort. And so they have to be convinced that it's a sensible thing, that there's at least some reasonable chance of success, and if there is success, that the reward will be commensurate with the effort involved. So I think that's getting people to believe in what you're doing and in you is important.
As you get older, the commitment increases. So I would suggest taking risks now and doing something bold. You won't regret it, Musk said in an interview with Forbes.
I was just saying that you want to take a moment to appreciate things in life and the sensations. Food's incredible, and there's just so many good things that you can experience. Some of them cost nothing, really. Have a walk in nature, or just a nice meal, and it's like, wow, that's pretty great, you know. And we should take a moment to appreciate these little things, the big things, the things that move your heart. I think that's probably the meaning of life, as close a definition as I can think.
You want to make something beautiful. I mean, you want to trigger whatever fundamental aesthetic algorithms are like in your brain. You have, I think, some intrinsic elements that represent beauty, and that trigger the emotion of appreciation of beauty in your mind. And I think that these are actually relatively consistent among people. I mean, not completely. Some people not everyone likes the same thing, but there's a lot of commonality, but I think it is important to combine aesthetic design with functionality. Yeah, you can train yourself. I think you can make yourself pay attention to why you're essentially bring the subconscious awareness into conscious awareness.
Musk always said, constantly doubt yourself and wonder if anything else could have been done better.
Advise people who are starting a company to expect a long period of quite high difficulty. But I mean, as long as people stay super focused on creating the absolute best product or service that really delights their end customer, if they stay focused on that, then if you get it such that your customers want you to succeed, then you probably will.
You have to do all kinds of works and tasks, even those that you don't want to do, and those that are not interesting to you. Be ready to do whatever it takes, to work at any time. No task is dirty. I think this is right attitude for a startup.
Like, things are too dark, because I think like you kind of have to be optimistic about the future. There's no point in being pessimistic. It's just too negative. Like, doesn't help, you know. I think you want to be, I mean, my theory is like you'd rather be optimistic. I think I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. The technical framework for understanding the future is physics. I'd recommend studying the thinking process around physics, like not the equations. I mean, the equations certainly they're helpful, but the way of thinking in physics is it's the best framework for understanding things that are counterintuitive. And you know, always taking the position that you are to some degree wrong, and your goal is to be less wrong over time. I think one of the biggest mistakes people generally make, and I'm guilty of it too, is wishful thinking. You know, like you want something to be true, even if it isn't true, and so you ignore the things that you ignore the real truth because of what you want to be true. This is a very difficult trap to avoid, and like I said, it's certainly one that I find myself in having problems with. But if you just take that approach of you're always to some degree wrong, and your goal is to be less wrong, and solicit critical feedback, particularly from friends. Like particularly friends, if somebody loves you, they want the best for you. They don't want to tell you the bad things. So you have to ask them, you know, and say, really, I really do want to know.
My friend, I have a goal for 1,000 subscribers. So like and subscribe, and you will get more motivation video.